A 2019 Stanford study proved that elephants are literally reading your words through the ground beneath their feet, and that's only the second most insane thing on this list. Fact number 1. Elephants hear through their feet. In 2019, researchers at Stanford University led by biologist Caitlin O'Connell-Rodwell published a landmark paper confirming what had been theorized for decades. African elephants detect seismic vibrations produced by other elephants through specialized nerve endings in the fatty pads of their feet, technically called Pacinian corpuscles. Here's where it gets wild. The elephants weren't just picking up random rumbles. They were distinguishing between the specific seismic voice prints of individual elephants from distances of up to 32 kilometers, that's nearly 20 miles, through solid ground. The signal travels as an infrasonic wave, below 20 Hz, completely inaudible to human ears. The elephants effectively freeze, shift their weight forward onto their front feet, and press down harder to amplify reception, almost like cupping a hand to your ear. Think about that. An animal can recognize its friend's voice through the dirt from 20 miles away. Your phone barely gets signal across town. Fact number 2. Bees vote with their bodies to choose a home. Honeybee colonies don't just stumble into a new hive location, they hold a full democratic election, and the mechanism is something out of science fiction. When a colony needs a new home, scout bees fly out independently and assess potential sites. When a scout finds a good location, she returns and performs what's called a waggle dance, a figure-8 movement where the angle of the central run relative to vertical encodes the compass direction, and the duration of the waggle phase, measured to within milliseconds, encodes the exact distance. What scientists at Cornell University, led by Thomas Seeley, confirmed in 2010 in his book Honeybee Democracy, and expanded on in peer-reviewed research through 2022, is that scouts physically headbutt dancers promoting rival sites to suppress competing votes. The colony reaches a quorum when roughly 15 to 20 scouts simultaneously occupy the new site and agree. No single bee is in charge. There is no queen bee vote. It is pure distributed consensus, more mathematically elegant than most human committee decisions, and it works every single time. Fact number 3. Trees send warning messages through underground fungal internet. In 1997, forest ecologist Suzanne Samar at the University of British Columbia published research in the journal Nature that appended everything we assumed about plant life. Trees, specifically Douglas firs and paper birch trees in Canadian forests, are physically connected underground through a vast network of mycorrhizal fungi, thin fungal threads called hyphae that wrap around and penetrate root cells. Through this network, Samar demonstrated using radioactive carbon isotope tracers that trees actively transfer carbon, water, nitrogen, and defense signals to neighboring trees. By 2016, follow-up studies confirmed that when a tree is attacked by insects or disease, it pumps chemical warning signals, specifically terpenes and jasmonic acid compounds, through the fungal network, and neighboring trees receive those signals and begin producing their own defensive chemicals before the threat even reaches them. A single mother tree, the largest, oldest tree in a forest, can be connected to hundreds of other trees simultaneously. Scientists now call this the Wood Wide Web, and it means a forest is not a collection of individual plants. It is a single, communicating, cooperative superorganism. Fact number 4. Sperm whales have a clicking alphabet with regional accents. Sperm whales communicate using rapid sequences of clicks called codas. Scientists have known about codas since the 1970s, but in April 2024, Project SETI, the Cetacean Translation Initiative, released preliminary findings from the most comprehensive acoustic analysis of sperm whale communication ever conducted, involving over 8,719 individual coda recordings from a family group off the island of Dominica. Using machine learning models, the research team, which included scientists from MIT, Harvard, and Project SETI, identified that sperm whale codas contain what linguists call combinatorial structure, meaning individual click elements are combined and recombined in layered, context-dependent patterns analogous to how phonemes build words in human language. Even more stunning, different whale clans in the Pacific versus the Atlantic produce the same base codas with measurably different rhythmic timing, regional dialects, essentially accents, that are culturally transmitted from mother to calf over generations. A sperm whale born in the Caribbean literally sounds different from one born near the Azores, and they can tell the difference. Project SETI's full translation attempt is ongoing, with results expected between 2026 and 2028. Fact number 5. Octopuses flash rapid skin patterns while they sleep, and scientists think it's dreaming. In 2021, marine biologist Silvia Lima de Souza Medeiros at the Federal University of Rio Grande do Norte in Brazil published video evidence in the journal iScience of an octopus named Costello cycling through rapid, complex skin color and texture changes while asleep. The changes, which included full-body color flushes, localized pattern shifts, and rippling chromatophore waves, lasted between 40 and 80 seconds and repeated in cycles, closely mirroring the pattern of REM sleep behavior documented in mammals and birds. Here's the jaw-dropping part: octopuses are colorblind. Every color pattern this animal produces is generated purely from memory and neural firing, not from seeing color. What you are watching when you watch that footage, and it is freely available online, look it up, is very possibly an octopus replaying a hunt, a memory, or an experience encoded in its distributed nervous system, 2/3 of which lives in its arms rather than its brain. An animal that evolved independently from vertebrates for over 500 million years may be dreaming in color it cannot see. Fact number 6. Prairie dogs describe predators in precise grammatical detail. Kon Slobodikov, a professor emeritus at Northern Arizona University, spent over 30 years recording and analyzing the alarm calls of Gunnison's prairie dogs. His findings, culminating in research published between 1998 and 2012 and summarized in his 2012 book Chasing Dr. Dolittle, are extraordinary. Using acoustic spectrograph analysis, Slobodikov demonstrated that prairie dog alarm calls encode the size, shape, color, and speed of approaching predators in distinct, reproducible sonic elements. In controlled experiments, researchers walked through prairie dog colonies wearing different colored shirts. The prairie dogs produced demonstrably different calls for the person in the yellow shirt versus the blue shirt versus the green shirt, not just predator and no predator, but specific descriptive information about what the predator looked like. When a completely novel stimulus, a black circle on a piece of wood, was moved through the colony, the prairie dogs produced a new, consistent call that other prairie dogs in the colony then understood and repeated. They created a new word in real time. As of 2023, no other non-human animal communication system has been documented doing this in the wild with comparable consistency. Fact number 7. Jumping spiders serenade mates with drumbeats tuned to specific leaf frequencies. In 2022, researchers at the University of Cincinnati led by Beth Mortimer and Damian Elias published a study in the journal Current Biology revealing that male Habernatus jumping spiders don't just perform visual dances for females. They simultaneously produce ultrasonic seismic vibrations by drumming their abdomens and front legs against the surface they're standing on. Here's the critical discovery: the spiders actively choose which surface to court on based on its resonant frequency. They tested surfaces before committing, selecting leaves and substrates that would amplify and transmit their specific vibrational signature most effectively, essentially choosing their stage for its acoustic properties. The female jumpers, it turns out, are evaluating the male on 3 simultaneous channels at once: visual display, chemical pheromones, and seismic vibration, and they weight all 3 in their assessment. Males who performed on poor resonance surfaces, even if their visual display was identical, were significantly less successful in mating trials. A spider is essentially choosing its venue based on sound engineering principles. A spider. Fact number 8. Dolphins use signature whistles as personal names and address each other directly by name. This is the one that will genuinely keep you up at night. Bottlenose dolphins develop unique, individually specific whistles, called signature whistles, within the first few months of life. This has been known since the 1960s. But in 2013, a research team led by Dr. Stephanie King and Professor Vincent Janik at the University of St. Andrews published a definitive study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences proving something far more extraordinary. Dolphins don't just have names, they call each other by name. When a dolphin hears a recording of its own signature whistle played back by a stranger speaker, not the original animal, just an acoustic copy, it responds specifically to that sound, producing its own whistle back, effectively saying, "Yes, that's me." More importantly, dolphins were recorded spontaneously copying the signature whistle of a specific group member and broadcasting it, not when that animal was present, but when it was separated from the group. They were calling for a specific individual by name, unprompted, across open water. The only other animals documented doing this are humans, and possibly African gray parrots under very specific laboratory conditions. Everything else on Earth apparently just shouts into the void and hopes for the best. And here's what ties all 8 of these facts together. Every single one of these communication systems was either unknown or misunderstood by science less than 15 years ago. We have spent centuries assuming that complex, intentional, information-rich communication was a human exclusive. These 8 discoveries didn't just expand our understanding of animals, they obliterated the line we drew between us and them. Subscribe to Moonlit Minds for daily mind-blowing facts that will change how you see the world.